Hello YouTube, BalorMage here, and this is the end of day one of Crucible. This is we started with this SRS build, obviously with the intent of going poison SRS and pretty much following my own guide. We didn't manage to make the transition into poison, but as you can see in the background here, hit SRS was absolutely fantastic. This is a really good league start. It has been smooth to do all content, a tiny bit slow off the bat up till about normal lab, and then after that smooth sailing forever. I have had a ball all day. As far as the Crucible mechanic though, we're going to touch on that before we go over how the build went and where I got to. So the Crucible mechanic, in theory, I love it. I love the idea, I love the passive tree, and I love the difficulty. I hate the clunkiness. I hate how long it takes to channel things. I hate the big gigantic UI window where I have to like awkwardly select what I want to channel into and then select the node and then sit there and hold it for 18 years while it channels a bar up that I can then do the Crucible mechanic on. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. While I very much do enjoy the difficult monsters and I'm really enjoying the passive trees, they're pretty cool. I'll show you the passive tree that I found so far. I'm really not liking the awkwardness of it at all. It's just the whole thing feels pretty damn awkward to use. Just not enjoying that part. I'm also not a huge fan of the fact that I'm feeling like I'm going to spend the entire league carrying around extra weapons that I have to cycle through to try and find good trees to then craft on those items. I'm not really sure how that's going to work as we like progress past the first few days and rush. Like, just it feels real awkward to be like carrying around extra weapons and stuff in my inventory. I'm not sure I'm in love with that, but I do really like the trees, so I'm gonna reserve most of my judgment until we get a patch in or so. Everyone knows there'll be a patch probably early next week that will address whatever concerns they feel like are valid and that they can address in time. Usually that first patch makes things a decent amount better, so I'm interested to see where that goes, and I'm pretty interested to later on smash a bunch of talent trees together and try and get some really OP stuff. So that's going to be real fun. Other than that, let's jump into where I got by the end of day one. So let's jump in game. All right, so here's our SRS toon. We did make it to level 88, which is a decent run for me. It wasn't the quickest build in the world, nothing like, you know, tornado shot or bow builds, but it's been so smooth and pretty safe. I've got some decent-ish gear going on. We've got life on every piece. We have positive chaos res. That's been quite nice. My amulet is that's actually the worst amulet I've ever. Oh my god, it's item level 25. Okay, listen, don't worry about my amulet. No one saw that. All right, no one saw that. We'll replace that in the morning. I have been live for like 21.5 hours before making this video, so my brain left a few hours ago, and apparently I forgot amulets exist and need replacing. So you get what you get. We've got a pretty decent shield, a little bit of minion damage on it, bit of life. That's all. Decent-ish weapon with some attack and cast and some minion damage. That's all. Just a +1 helmet. None of my gear is fantastic. It's all sort of just okay. Most of these pieces of gear, other than the 6-link, between 2 and 5 chaos a piece. So on pretty minimal gear, I've managed to get to level 88 here. We've got a tree that looks like this right now. I have a few extra points invested into defense of my minions than I had originally planned, because Crucible seems to be tearing them up. So I did throw 3 points into Indomitable Army temporarily. I will lose these points as I get some better gear and some more minion levels. And I also took these 3 points to get a little bit of extra life and a little bit of extra regen. And I stole those points from here so that I could afford to. So I just came over the top and got those two. And I just made sure I got the stats that I needed on gear. As far as everything else goes, I have one pretty decent jewel here. I don't mind that one. It's not horrible. We're not poisoned yet, so we don't need poison chance. We're still doing fire damage. So fire damage, life, attack, cast speed. Quite nice. We've got some flat damage and some life on that one. It's not very good. Some flat damage, some life, and some move speed on that one. It's alright. We do have one 8-point cluster. It just has Coldless Slaughter and some life. That's it. Overall, incredibly undergeared compared to where I would normally be on other characters this league, but still performing really well. It is, however, a little bit squishy. I do have the path of building to show people as well. What we did do though was we noticed towards the end of the day that the Covenant chests were way cheaper than I was expecting. We managed to pick up both of these. There's 2 of them because 2 of us are playing SRS. I'm not picking one up to flip. It's just that there are 2 people, me and one other person in my team, playing this build. So we picked up 2 chests because they were only 3 divines each, which is significantly cheaper than I was expecting them to be. This is by far your best in slot chest for poison SRS, not necessarily for the hit version I'm doing right now, but for when we go poison. I didn't include this in the league start build guide because I was very, very much expecting it to be 20, maybe even 30 divines, which would be more than the entire build costs from head to toe. I was very much expecting this to be a lot more expensive. So because it was only 3 divines, we did spend a majority of our money purchasing 2 of those, and we've been trying to link them. We don't have any links yet, so they're just going to sit there until we've got them linked. But yeah, that's that. We have, what do we got here? We didn't get any stones, but we do have 82 completion and quite a few of them in red maps. We didn't get the corruption completion on that, unfortunately, but we've been hanging around in 13s to 15s pretty solidly. And I expect tomorrow we will get 16, all 4 watchstones, finish off the rest of that, and hopefully change to poison. But it will depend on how difficult it is to get a hold of one of those swords, because breaches so far have not dropped a whole lot of splinters. I am specced into them. I am specced into a lot of breaches stuff, and they have not been dropping very many splinters, so I am worried that that's going to take a little bit longer than I had hoped to change over to poison. But all in all, still very fun to play, so I'm happy with it. That's all my Atlas tree is just breaches and essences. That's it. That's the whole thing. Breaches and essences. I don't necessarily suggest that you copy this tree. I didn't actually plan out a tree before league start. I just started putting points where I wanted them. So this is what it ended up looking like. And let's have a quick pull up the path of building. Now there's one other thing that I did slightly different than we have in the build guide, which is I'm using Fire Pen instead of elemental damage with attacks. Now elemental damage with attacks would give me better clear and better damage on most rares and better on in most cases. But Fire Pen is slightly better on higher res targets, basically. So proper bosses like pinnacle bosses and stuff like that. But also, it seems to me the most dangerous content right now, Crucible stuff, seems to have some pretty damn good res on them. And without knowing the specifics about what's going on there, I'm assuming that they're far tankier than most other mobs because of resistance, and changing from Wed to Fire Pen seems like it might be a decent idea. Honestly, I'm really not sure about it. I've been trying it, but that's it. We're at 1.9 mil now, set to Guardian Pinnacle bosses. So we're at 1.9 with melee splash. If we change to multi-strike, we do have 2.6. So when it's time to kill a boss, we're at 2.6 right now, which is pretty reasonable. Obviously, levels, quality, better gear, etc. That'll get significantly higher, but that's it for now. The only other things that are different is so far I haven't had a lot of death problems. And so because of that, I've been using Skitterbots and Flesh Offering instead of Bone Offering and Tempest Shield, which would give me a bunch of block, which would make me a lot tankier. So you can see I'm quite squishy right here. I could fix that by changing to Bone Offering and changing to Tempest Shield. But right now I'm barely dying. So I'm just going to hold off on that change until I start to die regularly. And the moment I start to die regularly, I'll change into the more tanky version. For now, I'm just going for the most amount of speed I can get. So that's also up to you. All right. That is the end. I am going to go to sleep. It has been a long day. Fun, but long. And I will see everybody later. Goodbye.